So are Harry and Meghan being evicted from Frogmore? Very hot news from the UK yesterday, and they're calling it Frogxit. Isn't that clever? But the big question, is it really happening? So everybody at first was like, is this just a rumor? Is this really happening? But apparently Harry and Meghan are being evicted or sent out of their beautiful 5-bedroom home that they have leased and had given to them by the Queen and had renovated since 2019. So let's break it down. Like, let's talk about Frogmore first, and then let's kind of like break it down. And is Andrew actually going to be moving into Frogmore instead? So the Frogmore Cottage, not to be confused with the Frogmore House. The Frogmore House actually was where Harry and Meghan had their reception, and the cottage is in the gardens. And so there's a really great history. It's a grade 2 home that's listed on the Frogmore estate, but it's the cottage, and it's part of, this place called Home Park in Windsor. And it was built in 1801 with Queen Consort Charlotte. She was amazing. Actually, there's a great story about her and a big question on whether she was actually biracial, which is very interesting. So the Frogmore Cottage is part of the Crown Estate, the Monarch's estate. So it's part of the King's whole public estate. And the cottage became residence of Harry and Meghan in 2019. This was after, of course, they were complaining about Nottingham Cottage, which Kate and Will had been in, even with their kids for a while, which was very small. And they kept saying that they bumped their head in it. Well, they went to the Queen, and the Queen said, here's a nice gift. You're about to have a baby. So it says it's been the residence of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex in the United Kingdom in 2019 and was their primary residence there, and has been their main UK residence since that time, and even before they moved to Montecito in the United States. However, as of yesterday, March 2023, a spokesperson from the couple announced that it is true. It is absolutely true that they had been requested to leave. Good morning, Sherry. So yes, I'm going a little bit early on this because I wanted to kind of get confirmation last night. I wanted to go live last night, but then I wasn't sure because there were also reports where this is just, being exaggerated. But they're saying that it's an eviction, but is it just that he's, the King is moving people around? So in 2020, Frogmore was described as a 5,000 square foot, 4-bedroom nursery, 4-bathroom single residence with like a yoga studio. It initially had 10 bedrooms, but then they renovated it. They spent a couple, $2 to $3 million, and apparently they paid that back to the sovereign grant before they moved to Montecito. Now, make note that the big question is, was it paid back by King Charles for Harry and Meghan, or was it paid back by Harry and Meghan? So the cottage was originally a double garden cottage, and it was Queen Charlotte's in 1801. And Queen Victoria even would have breakfast there. So it has a really great history. And also the different people that lived in the house. Well, the cottage was a retreat for Charlotte originally, and King George. This was George III. This was like during the whole American Revolution thing and all of that. Henry James lived in it in the 1840s. Queen Victoria's personal secretary, Abdul Karim, moved into Frogmore in 1897 with his wife and his father, and Grand Duchess Zhenya Alexandrovna, who was in exile from Russia after the Russian Revolution, lived there. And then in the 21st century, the cottage was a series of 5 separate units that was really for the Windsor estate workers. And then in 2019, it was converted into this home. So since that time, after Harry and Meghan moved, then what happened was Eugenie and, Prince Andrew's daughter lived there with her husband, Jack Brooksbank, and they took up residence with their son. Of course, they travel a lot, and now they're even talking about moving to California as well. A lot of them are trying to follow into Prince Harry and Meghan's footsteps, but I don't know if that's happening. So in March, it was reported that Prince Andrew lives in a 30-room royal lodge, which is huge and beautiful, and he's been there for a long time, very gorgeous. In Windsor Park had been offered the Frogmore Cottage, and Prince Harry and his wife Meghan were requested to vacate And the couple were reportedly notified in January. Now, keep in mind, that's when the Netflix series came out and that was December, but then his book. Got it? And they have until after the coronation to vacate the property. So technically, they could arrive, they could go, they could totally go to, the coronation if they want to, but maybe they don't want to. So that's the big question. Are they going to go to the coronation? And so nobody was really sure. So here's the big thing. The controversy is like, do you, just because there's all this drama, I don't know. Here's the thing. The king is all into the sustainability thing. Andrew needs another spot because, he's an empty nester now. And also, it would make sense that he would downsize, but they're not using the house. So it kind of is like, wow, you have a whole 5-bedroom, beautiful estate that nobody's using. So he's having to move people around. Good morning, everybody. So 6 months after the wedding, just to get a little bit more details, so 6 months after they had their wedding at St. George's, it emerged that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who were then expecting Archie, would set up home at Frogmore. So it overlooks their reception venue, which was Frogmore House, as I mentioned. And at the time, Harry and Meghan were living in Nottingham, which they always complained because the ceilings were too short and they were bumping their heads and it was too uncomfortable, even though 2 future kings had just lived in it. But I'm just saying. The palace statement confirmed that the Duke and Duchess had accepted the gift. They were very excited because it was a gift from the Queen. So then they went into the sovereign grant and they made all of these changes. So this is a Vogue article, and it says, fairly or unfairly, many of the headlines around the Sussexes moved to Windsor focused on the public cost, which was about, almost $3 million US, and was originally footed by British taxpayers. And it says the 5 bedrooms, so it must be 5 bedrooms. Maybe it's 4 bedrooms and 1 yoga studio. I don't know. Upon their relocation to the United States, Harry and Meghan repaid the cost. Now, like I said, we don't know if that was them paying or whatever. The Duke and Duchess have shared their wish to repay the sovereign grant. That was the quote back in the day. And now, Andrew. So the Sussexes did confirm, because again, I said this was all rumors. Like as of yesterday, we're like, I don't think it's really true. But they did confirm to Vogue yesterday that they had officially been requested to vacate their residence. Buckingham Palace, however, is yet to reveal whether the reason for their departure is in fact to make room for Prince Andrew, as has been widely reported. The disgraced royal currently lives in a much larger place, with King Charles expected to cut his annual grant. There are concerns that the Duke of York may no longer be able to afford the upkeep of the larger property, to say nothing of the optics of having him there in the first place. While so what they're thinking of doing, this is rumor. Okay, so right now, and I'll just kind of show you some other headlines. I'm not reading from all of them, but right now, Will and Kate are comfortable in Adelaide Cottage. So Adelaide Cottage is also there. It's very nice, but it's kind of not as private as maybe the Royal Lodge would be, and not as grand for a future king. So there is a belief that it's not all about, well, Harry and Meghan, we hate you, and so we're like moving you out. It's more like Harry and Meghan, yes, we have some controversy, but we're not going to, if you need to stay, we'll have a spot for you. So who knows what it really is. But we need to move Andrew from the Royal Lodge over to Frogmore, because he does have 2 kids and grandchildren that would be coming there, and his ex-wife, Sarah, who also lives there. So let's move them out to the let's move Adelaide Cottage, even though they just redid Adelaide Cottage and Will and Kate apparently love it. Let's move them to the larger place at the Royal Lodge so that they're even closer to all the things Windsor, right? And then let's move Andrew and his family to Frogmore, and then we'll have Adelaide for, I don't know, for Harry and Meghan when they come, or a guest house. Or some people are suggesting that actually, because Camilla's grandchildren and children are going to be more prominent in this monarchy than, let's say, they were when they were just plainly married, that it's possible that that house is going to be kind of a family home for extended family. I don't know, but we will see. So the big question now, we've already addressed this. The big question is, okay, does this, see, apparently they've known this since January. So should it put a wrench in the fact that, Harry and Meghan don't know if they're attending the coronation? Now, everybody says that they will definitely be invited, but is this an embarrassment? Because on the other hand, the more dramatic, talk is that Charles was livid. From this point on, it was always like, okay, well, Will was livid, but Charles was like, I want my son back. I want my son back. But apparently Charles was livid. Again, rumor, we don't know for sure, about the depiction of Camilla especially, and Will. And so rather than make a statement, he basically was like, we need to make changes anyhow. Let's make these changes. And so the dramatic side of it is, oh, we wanted them totally out. They can stay in a hotel. So I don't know if they would really stay in a hotel. So they would be allowed to be staying, I'm sure, at Frogmore while they are visiting, because it says they have until after that to be able to move. Wallace Simpson's buried in the ground. The Queen was very strategic in everything that she did. Yeah. And so Harry is like Diana in the sense that he is kind of I would call him like a trailblazer in a sense that he is poking the bear a bit and being honest. Whether or not it's funny because oftentimes when you are trying to do something for change, it does look like a hot mess. I'm just saying. So those of you who have been watching me for a while know that I'm like, with Harry and Meghan, but at the same time, there's a part of me that really can get that. But at the other hand, I feel like they were so sloppy in how they handled this, and it could have been still done in a different way. Plus the timing, the monarchy is changing. Like it's changing. So it's going to be messy anyhow. And King Charles, I don't think he is as, let's say, polished and elegant and poised and sort of his, let's say, understated greatness as the Queen was. You're right. So shocking news, but not surprising. They've chosen to live in the US anyhow. Yeah. So that's the thing. I think probably, Vicky, that this is my guess. Like, I don't know. This is me just imagining how it would feel. He still has his home country, right? But it has so much pain and struggle that, maybe he's here and he's having a blast with his freedom, right? Even though there's a lot of pressure on them. But you can't help but still kind of miss your own, your homeland, right? But it's a big deal because this basically implies, Harry and Meghan, you don't have your UK home. What does it mean about his residency and all of that? So maybe that was addressed already. I don't know. But here's the question for Harry's like Diana Wallace. Yeah. Okay. So this is the question regarding the coronation. Let me know if you guys think that they're going to go to the coronation or not, what it would be like. I think if they attended the coronation, they'd probably get a lot of boos, a lot of scowls. But at the same time, I almost feel like it would be a good thing for them to just do it. Like, chin up, move forward, just do it, grow up. Like you said, Kimberly, like, just attend the coronation. They're going to get criticized either way. They're going to get criticized. Oh, you're going because you want attention, or you're staying home because you want attention. Like that's the kind of thing that's going to happen. But I think that they should go because their dad is it's a very monumental thing. So this is from the Telegraph. The question on everyone's lips is the coronation. Will Harry and Meghan attend? While the Duke and Duchess are expected to be invited to the Westminster Abbey ceremony, the couple have given no indication on whether they will attend. And remember, this is Archie's 4th birthday. But, I have kids. I could always reschedule the birthday party for the week before, the week after, or even a day before or day after. The Telegraph understands that the Duke is in a predicament over his attendance, as both he and his wife have no idea how their appearance would be received. I mean, they've got to expect that they're going to get teased, especially after South Park. There's probably going to be placards. We want privacy. There's probably going to be all kinds of things like that. But I think there will also it would actually go a long way in like saying, hey, we're still part of this family. I also think it would be good for the king to, have Harry and Meghan there at some point. I don't think that they're going to have a big part in it. I don't think that they will be a big part of it. Yeah. And so this is true. Not because they're trying to make a change. That is very true, because they've been caught in a lot of lies. Like even the visuals in the Netflix series, was like, okay, wait, that really wasn't, you're showing basically a picture of a Harry Potter premiere, or you're showing a picture of a crowd at a Michael Cohen Trump, case. Like you're showing these things that don't really exist. And now even your half sister is calling you out because of these lies. You're saying you didn't say that. Even your attorney for the Samantha Markle case is basically saying she didn't say she was an only child, or she didn't mean that. She meant she felt like an only child. So, it's crazy. It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. So then Harry told ITV last month, there's a lot that can happen between now and then, but the door is always open. The ball is in their court. So Harry and Meghan think, they think that the royal family in the midst of a coronation is going to take time to apologize for something that they don't really even understand. So Tabitha, by the way, did you know that my maiden name is Jones too? So I'm a Jones girl as well, just to let you know. The move is huge. No longer has a permanent UK residence. He no longer has access to the royal family or the protected grounds. He now has to reapply for US visa, and his taxes are going to soar. Yeah. Well, there you go. I didn't know how that worked exactly. Like, he had all this protection. And, one thing that I hate, because I have 7 kids, 5 that we adopted internationally. And so I've got all these different ages, and I've got this really amazing family. But the one thing I hate with anybody, and I even teach my kids, is entitlement. I don't care how much money you have or how little you have. Entitlement can come in all different directions. And it's always great to be, to have gratitude. That doesn't mean that you don't express your feelings and express your problems and try to work them out. But I feel a huge sense of entitlement. And I feel like Harry especially doesn't even know. And like he doesn't even really understand how entitled he was. But at the same time, he also, to be fair, was a child that had to endure a lot more than we think. Like he had to endure the loss of his mother, dealing with that. I mean, probably poor parenting, just to be blunt, after her death. And so he's really processing all of this publicly. So let's see. Diana would attend Archie as a part of history. I know. I would like, that would be, because Kimberly, apparently the Queen consort Queen Camilla, they'll drop the consort. She is having her grandchildren, her 5 grandchildren, hold, I call it a chuppah, but it's a canopy around her. I always think of a canopy as a chuppah. I'm not Jewish, but my husband is, but I think of it as a chuppah. So they're going to be holding that. George, it should be really fun to see George, the future king, how he's going to be in the ceremony. It would be great for Harry and Lily. For Archie and Lily to be able to know at least their heritage. And it really does start early. I remember things with the older people in my family that made such a huge impression, and it would be so great. So, and Charles does love his sons, but that's where I'm confused, Kim. I'm confused with whether or not this move for eviction or whatever was it an official king move, or was it a move that he had to make because, of being a dad? I don't know. So, okay. Let's finish reading this. So Harry insisted in any conversations with his father would have to be based on trust, amid concern they could be leaked to the media. So I find that gaslighting, or that's part of the hot mess, because what he's worried about things being leaked. But the thing is that I don't know if you guys ever saw this one clip. I think it was right after the Queen's funeral or around that time, or maybe it was during the Platinum Jubilee or whatever, that none of them would talk to them because the royal family was afraid that things would be leaked from Meghan. They thought that she was wired. So there's this paranoia on both sides now because of all of the drama, right? So has said to cut down the royal, yeah. Charles has wanted to cut down the royal bill for years, and this is basically, especially, I mean, we're seeing a combination, we're just seeing this transition like all the time throughout history when monarchs change, like when there's a transition in the throne. I mean, in the past, they would just go to war and murder each other, right? So this is sort of a new version, and there's so much transition anyhow that it's going to be dramatic, but it's extremely dramatic because of the timing, I guess, with Harry's book, the death of the Queen. Like, I think they planned on having it be December or January, then the Queen died. So their plan was always to have it during that time. But then everything hit the fan, right? Like it all hit the fan. So yeah, he's been set on slimming down the monarchy for years. So they say the Duke and Duchess are expected to be invited to the ceremony, but and other members of the royal family are understood to have been told that they will absolutely be invited. These are not my regular glasses. They're those reading glasses that you get. They're blue glasses, so they're not something I would go out with, but just publicly on a screen here. Okay, so anyhow, this might be better. They'll cross that bridge when they come to it, whether or not they're going to accept the invitation. The Duke and Duchess will not make any decisions until an invitation arrives at their home in Montecito. They will then have to decide whether Harry would attend alone or with Meghan. The most likely outcome is the former, leaving Meghan to take care of the children. See, I really would like to see their kids there. And yeah, Charles, thank you. Charles will have a short reign. You never know, unless he lives to be like 105, like his grandmother. So anyhow, so this is what's going on with Frogxit. I heard this yesterday. We all heard it yesterday, and I was positive that it was not true. Like it's just sensationalism and all of that, especially since they invested so much. And at the same time, I was wondering, are they going to let them keep that house? I don't know if you guys were thinking that. I'm like, they just have this gorgeous, like they can just kind of go off and basically spit in the king's face and then come back and like stay on the estate, like in their home, like whenever the heck they feel like it. Like it's, I mean, there is something kind of, I don't know, very brash about that. I'm going to stay in the estate, but I hate these people. Like, it's so, although he says he always loves his family, but will be king one day, and they're going to have to make amends in time. This could be a way, in my opinion, for Harry and Meghan to humble themselves, not sit there expecting the royal family to sit down and apologize. Just go, take baby steps, bite the bullet, and do it. That's what I say. Even if you have to stay in a hotel, go and visit and be there for your but they won't have to stay in a hotel this time. But on a future visits, I'm sure they'll be able to stay with some family or on some kind of estate. They could rent a castle Airbnb. I don't know. So anyhow, guys, I am Deanna from Hot for History, and I make history content that's sort of quirky, and I'm following this because I see history in real time. That's what we're dealing with here. So we're going to be following this, and I will talk to you later, guys. All the best. Have a great, great day.